Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest CTSI Symposium. My name is Matthew Gurka. I am the Director of the Clinical Research Design, Epidemiology, and Biostatistics program. That's a mouthful. And unfortunately, we don't have a great acronym that I can use. CRDEB, I guess, is what we've been calling it. But we're this program in the CTSI, and I'm also the interim chair of the Department of Biostatistics in the new School of Public Health. And a lot of you have been able to utilize statistical services here in the past at some level or another. Now we're really ramping things up, biostatistics and epidemiology related with these two entities, with the CTSI and the School of Public Health. So we thought it was about time to share with you what exactly we're doing and how you can get assistance on your research and educational endeavors that you may have. And in addition, kind of talk about what we do as biostatisticians and epidemiologists, because sometimes it's a little confusing. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to explain the role of biostat and epi in research and how we can help you, primarily. First and foremost, that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to summarize the organization of this group, and it's a fairly large group. I'm really excited. We have some great people, and I'm going to go through all the individuals that are part of this group. And it's a growing group, so even the list that we have here isn't final. It's hopefully going to grow. And then we'll discuss the three aims. As you know, this is part of the big grant, the CTR grant, and we have three aims in our proposal for this program. Collaboration, methods, and education. And I'll go through all three of those and talk about what we plan to do over the next 5 years with this grant as a biostat and epi group. And then lastly, show you where you can go for help. Our goal here is to make this clear and easy for you that if you need biostat and epi assistance, you can go to one central place and request assistance and get that assistance from the appropriate person. You don't have to search around and try to figure out who the best person is for you. So this was the summary of our program and their overall objectives, our three aims related to this grant. Our overall goal, simply put, was to enhance the study design and analytical infrastructure at WVU and partner institutions. Our partner institutions, Charleston Area Medical Center and the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine. And I'll talk about some of the individuals involved there as well. That's simply put, that's what we want to do. Before this came about, before maybe 2 years ago, statistics and pretty much biostatistics wasn't formally centrally instituted here at the Health Sciences Center. And with the School of Public Health and with the CTSI, we were really growing biostatistics and hopefully being able to help you with your research. So what are our aims? We want to provide collaboration expertise in research design and epidemiology and biostatistics to clinical and translational researchers throughout the state. We have partner institutions. It's important that we help others across the state. Second aim is to develop new methods. That's what we do as biostatisticians, as statisticians, is not only do we collaborate, but we try to develop new methodologies to make those collaborations most efficient. So, it might not just be a simple t-test that we want to do. We might need to do something more advanced. And maybe that more advanced technique, depending on the complexity of your study, doesn't exist. That's where we come in. We take those collaborations and use those as motivation for our methods research. And we publish in statistical and biostatistical and epidemiologic journals. And I'll talk about what we're doing there as well. And then finally, to offer instruction and mentoring. Mentoring to anybody at any level, students through faculty, who need biostatistical support, to provide instruction. And I'll talk about some of the things that we're doing now, what we're planning on doing, and then I'll open it up for suggestions of what you would like to see for instruction. So this is an open-ended book. I'll reiterate this at the end, but this is just starting. This is exciting. We can certainly modify, we can certainly add things as we go along based on what you want to see us do. So in summary, we're going to provide a transdisciplinary team of biostatisticians, epidemiologists, and database experts who will work collaboratively with clinical and translational researchers statewide. So I'm going to run through all the individuals, all the faculty that are associated with this. And like I said, this is an incomplete list. Hopefully we'll grow this as we go along. Just not to waste time, but just to kind of put names and faces together so you can see what our areas of expertise are. Just as clinicians have areas of, we have areas of expertise, statisticians, epidemiologists, we have areas of expertise as well. So knowing what we do and what our areas of interest are, where our areas of expertise are, I think is going to be helpful for you. This isn't meant to say you need to find out what's the best person and you should go to that person, because that's where we have a request form where you can submit a request, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we can figure out who the best person is after some conversations. That's what I'm here to do, to try to help figure out who best to help you. So here I am. I introduced myself already. Got my degree in biostatistics from UNC. I was previously at UVA, and I'll talk about some of the things that I did at UVA that we're going to try to model here as well. My collaborative interests are obesity, metabolic syndrome, and pediatrics. I was what they call the pedostatistician at UVA, so I've kind of held on to a lot of the pediatric research that I'm doing. My statistical areas of interest include longitudinal data, mixed models, power analysis, getting more and more into group randomized trials as well, and model selection. Dustin Long is in the audience today. He's a new hire also from UNC, just graduated from UNC in biostatistics. His collaborative interests include HIV and infectious disease. He's an excellent teacher and an excellent consultant. His statistical areas of interest include causal inference and selection bias. So he's one of those biostatisticians that have heavy interest in epidemiology as well. One of the other statisticians that fall in that same category is Michael Righi. He's had a postdoc from McGill University in biostat and epidemiology. Collaborative interests in pediatrics, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Social epidemiology and injury research, amongst other things. His statistical areas of interest include causal inference as well, missing data, and public health informatics. And I'll talk about a little bit that later. Sijan Win, another one of our hires this past year. We've been busy hiring, which is a great thing. Sijan Win just came to us this past August from MD Anderson. Excellent clinical trial statistician, many years of experience at MD Anderson in innovative clinical trials design. So I think he's going to be a huge asset for us moving forward as we ramp up clinical trials here at WVU. But he also has interest in bioinformatics as well, which is also very important. We also have some epidemiologists. Those are the Department of Biostatistics faculty, those individuals that are technically formally in the Department of Biostatistics. We also have faculty from the new Department of Epidemiology in the School of Public Health. Anup Shanker is the interim chair of the Department of Epidemiology, and he's part of this group as well. Numerous grants funded, excellent researcher. His interests include cardiovascular disease, diabetes, hypertension, chronic kidney disease, and sleep. He's a great epidemiologist. He knows novel study designs. He's excellent with secondary data analysis. Kelly Gurka, I think I know her a little bit. She comes from UVA as well, and at UVA she had years of experience as an epidemiologic consultant. So she helped researchers at the beginning stages, designing case control studies, designing other sorts of studies, doing some statistical analyses as well. And she mentored a number of fellows, and she taught a number of classes to residents, to med students, to faculty. So from an instruction standpoint, she's going to be a huge asset for us from an EPI standpoint. Her areas of interest include injury and violence. She's part of the Injury Control Research Center and prescription drug abuse. We're very fortunate to have an excellent group of researchers over at NIOSH. They've been helping us out through the whole grant writing process, and they're active members in our group as well, and I'm so thankful to have them as part of our group because they're going to add significant expertise to our group. Mike Andrew, mathematical statistician at NIOSH. He previously was at the University of Mississippi. Collaborative interests include subclinical cardiovascular disease epidemiology, police work stress exposure, and psychological distress. His statistical areas of interest are generalized linear models, psychosocial constructs, and time series data. So glad to have him on board, as well as Buzz Birchfield. He's the chief of the Biostat and Epi branch at NIOSH. He has worked on a number of huge cohort studies. Framingham, Eric, Jackson Hart study. He's going to be a huge addition for us from an expert standpoint in terms of cohort studies. Obviously his areas of interest and expertise include cardiovascular disease, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and occupational epidemiology. We also have Mike Cashon. I don't think he's here today. He's another great asset to us. His area of expertise is in bioinformatics and microarrays. He's also at NIOSH. He came from Michigan State. Linda Charles, another Tar Heel UNC alum, another epidemiologist that I'm so thankful to have on board, part of this team. She's another CVD epidemiologist. She also has occupational interests. She's interested in sleep and just epi methods in general. So we have a really strong EPI team. If you look at CTSA, Biostat, and EPI groups around the country, which obviously we're trying to model after, they focus more on the biostat, not in the EPI. And I think that's one of our unique assets is we got some really, really strong epidemiologists. And I think we really need to hold up to that. We also are fortunate enough to have some great faculty from the Department of Statistics downtown. Jerry Hobbs, most of you know, he's been awesome for the Health Sciences Center for a number of years. He's going to continue to work with us, consulting. He's doing that right now. His collaborative interests are just general statistical consulting. He's been helping out the Health Sciences Center for years. His statistical area of expertise is non-parametric statistics. We also have Mark Culp. Mark Culp is a very smart, very bright statistician from the University of Michigan. His areas of expertise include machine learning, statistical computing in general, and bioinformatics. So we're fortunate enough to have him on board. And we also have Jim Harner, the chair of the Department of Statistics. His areas of expertise include statistical computing, multivariate modeling, dynamic graphics, so on and so forth. Very thankful to have those three individuals from the stat department as part of this team. And I'll talk about how we're going to interact with each other. And then finally, we have two members that are not at WVU, but they're members from our partner institutions. So Scott Dean is a statistician at the Charleston Area Medical Center. He is pretty much one of the only statisticians there, and he helps a lot of researchers out there. And we're trying to, this is the growing, as we're growing here, we're trying to fold in all of our resources and be able to help each other out. So that's something that we're going to be doing in the future with Charleston Area Medical Center and with the School of Osteopathic Medicine where Lance Ridpath is as well. I couldn't get a picture from him in time. So those two individuals are great to have on board as well, and that kind of completes our team at the moment. We have some staff, we might have some additional hires in the future, but that's it. And so we have this huge team, and how do we work together? That's what I'll talk about at this point. We do meet on a weekly basis right now. I think it's, getting all that brain power together in one room is going to help all of us out. We might have difficult consultations where we're working with a researcher and that the statistical analysis is complicated, or we might not know exactly how to do something. We get together now in this weekly format and be able to sit down and say, hey, I got this problem. What do you guys think? And so being able to bounce around ideas and have everybody together to talk about that is enormous addition here, I think, at the Health Sciences Center. So that's our team, and I'll talk now about what we're planning on doing or what we are doing moving forward. And I'll primarily talk about AIM-1 because I think that's probably why most of you are here, and that's how we're going to collaborate, how we're going to help with your research. Just repeating our AIM-1 again, just to provide collaboration expertise in biostat and EPI. We have multiple levels of activities that we're doing right now. And this is just what we're starting with. This is not the end-all be-all, but this is what we're doing right now. You might have seen lots of flyers out there, and I'll talk about what those are and how you can utilize those and how they can potentially help you. I'll talk about walk-in clinics, talk about research huddles, hourly consulting, how that's going to work at WVU, grant assistance, and then collaborative partnerships. Let's talk about walk-in clinics, and this is kind of going in a hierarchy in terms of the most basic, quick consultation to the more in-depth collaborations that we're going to be working on. Because you guys have different levels of needs. Sometimes you might just have a quick question. You're reading a paper and you're like, what is this statistic? I don't understand this analysis. You don't need hours of our help. You just need to drop in and say, what is this? That's why we have the walk-in clinics. That's our intent. These walk-in clinics we're going to offer multiple times a week, and I'll give you the days and times in a second. They're meant to provide informal and brief statistical advice, or to initiate discussions for in-depth consultations. Maybe you have an idea for a study that you want to plan, and you just want to start talking to somebody. Just come to one of these walk-in clinics and get that initial discussion going, and that'll hopefully lead to more in-depth collaborations. This is available for anybody: students, staff, fellows, residents, faculty. Just anybody can show up and ask questions. They're intended to assist investigators with relatively straightforward tasks. So they're not intended to have you bring your flash drive and with your data set and say, please analyze this data set for me, and I'm going to give you 15 minutes and give me a p-value. That's not how it's going to work. That we have that ability through consulting that I'll talk about in a minute, but this is more meant for those initial conversations, for just quick advice, whatever it may be. And some of those, some example activities, like I said, clarification of methods in published articles. You're reading an article and I have no idea what this statistical method is. Can you please explain it to me? Advice regarding data collection. You're planning a study and I don't really know how to collect the data, how to enter the data, how to, what should that look like? We can give you some advice on that as well. Guidance on conducting analysis. Some of you do your own analyses. That's great. We'll talk about some educational opportunities to advance that as well. But you might be hung up on something. Like, I just don't know exactly how to deal with this. This is where a walk-in clinic might help. Assistance in interpreting results. Again, you've done your own analysis, you get some result, and you have no idea what it means. This is a place to go. Like discussion of manuscript reviews. You submit a manuscript, you get some awful statistical review, some mean statistician, and you don't know how to handle it. Come to us. We can help you. We can at least start that conversation. That's the point of these walk-ins. For those quick things, you might just want to drop in and get some help. When do we have these? Right now, we have them 2 times a week formally through the CTSI. And that's Mondays from 2 to 4 and Wednesdays from 10 to 12. And this is in the CTSI conference room in the Health Sciences Center South on the 5th floor, 5501. So go to the Health Sciences Center South, go up to the 5th floor, follow the signs for the CTSI, you go in those main doors, and it's the conference room on the left. There will be a sign-up sheet. It hasn't been that busy yet, so it hasn't been needed. But we can imagine that, if there's we don't want you to spend your time coming up and have to wait in line, so to speak. So there'll be a sign-up sheet for 15-minute blocks. So you can sign up, if you show up at 2 and there's a bunch of people in there and you're like, I don't want to sit around for an hour, I'm going to sign up for the 3 o'clock slot and then I'll go back to work and I'll come back at 3. That's the intent of the sign-up sheet. And we're originally doing 15-minute blocks, but all this is flexible as we move along. The Cancer Center has devoted walk-in clinics. And I'll talk about these partnerships in a bit. But the Cancer Center, through the COBRA that they have, they support a statistical team as well, the Biostat and Bioinformatics Core. They have decided to do one of these as well in parallel, 2 of them in fact. So they have walk-in clinics, the same location, just different times. There's a 1-hour clinic on Mondays right before the general CTSI one, and then Fridays from 1 to 3. Same place. So that's the walk-in clinic. Are there any questions? This is meant to be interactive. If you have ideas, suggestions, and this is flexible. If we find that these times don't work, we can certainly try to figure out new times in the future. But yes? You do not need to tell us ahead of time, because right now we have primarily certain individuals manning these clinics, so to speak. But it does change a bit, and we will have more than one person, so we don't know exactly who's going to be doing that. So unless it's something you really think needs some advance notice, then that's certainly up for that as well. Yes?
Is it going to be open to the other campuses of the university and publicized?
This is open to anybody at the university. We haven't publicized beyond the Health Sciences Center, beyond we have it on the website. You've probably seen the flyers around. We have it on the CTSI website. So any CTSI member anywhere can see that we have these walk-in clinics, but these aren't meant for anybody. So we have talked about trying to develop these walk-in clinics remotely, particularly for our partner institutions, where we'll be in a room with a camera and being able to exchange ideas that way. We haven't developed that yet. We're trying to get the in-person one off the ground before we take that to the next level. But that, I imagine, could be useful for people not only at CAMC, but people downtown that might not want to make the trip up and deal with parking and everything else. Okay, so that's the walk-in clinic. That's that initial, just quick advice that you might need. Another thing that we've developed, and this is really taking advantage of the EPI expertise that we have, are the research huddles. And we're just starting these. You might have seen the flyers, or you might have seen that on one of the latest CTSI emails, if you remember. I think these are really cool, and I hope these work out, and I hope people take advantage of these. These are structured sessions that bring together experts in biostat and epi and other areas. So it's going to be members of our team, but it could be members of anybody in the whole Health Sciences Center or beyond. It's really meant to provide focused assistance to a researcher that's designing a study. Might be writing a grant, might not be, it doesn't matter. But they're designing a study for something, and they want some help to begin with. And I highly recommend you come to us as soon as possible. As soon as that idea pops in your head and you want to start pursuing it, come to us. That's what we're here for. That's where potentially this research huddle will be very useful. So how's this going to work? Researcher says, I have this idea for a study. Let's send Matt an email and request a research huddle. We're going to have research huddles once a month, and I want people to advance notice, at least 4 weeks. Why is that? So you can give us background information. You have a research idea. We might not be experts in that area. So we might need to do some background research. You might send us some publications on similar studies. You might have, papers that you've published or other people have published in order to give us that necessary background to help you out. If you have a grant proposal already written, that's something to share at that point. That gives us 4 weeks at least to read, to review. It gives me 4 weeks to compile a team, this huddle. It might be a combination of epidemiologists, statisticians, biostatisticians from our group. Could be a content level expert. You might be designing some cardiovascular disease study. I might try to get someone that's an expert in CVD research. Not part of our team, but someone that's an expert in the content. And we're going to get together in this huddle. We're going to do some background research ahead of time, and then we'll have a sit down for an hour to start. And we'll have these once a month. They're going to be held on the last Mondays of the month. We're going to do 2 of these per month to start. Dependent on demand. And people will, have these research huddles available to them. And after we do the background, we'll sit down and we'll brainstorm as a group with the researcher. Exchange ideas, give suggestions. Researcher can ask us questions. We can ask the person questions. And that'll hopefully improve the quality of the research moving forward and get that study designed properly. If it's for a grant, hopefully get that grant out the door in a strong shape that hopefully gets funded. So this is something that I think we're really going to try to focus on primarily with our Epi experts. This is ideal for pilot project applicants. There's an RFA out right now for pilot projects. Those of you thinking about doing a pilot project, submitting a grant for that proposal for that, you might want to take advantage of this. These are available to anybody who's a CTSI member. So if you're a member of the CTSI, which is very easy to do if you haven't done so already, go to the CTSI webpage and go to the membership button icon and click on it and do a few things. I think you submit a CV or a biosketch, and that's just about it. But if you become a member, you will have this available to you. The Walkin Clinics are for anybody. The research huddles, you'll have this extra layer of service if you're a member of the CTSI, which again is easy to do. That's the research huddles. Now let's talk about hourly consulting. So you might need more help. You might actually have a data analysis ready to go. You need some help analyzing the data. This is where you can get some consultation from one or more people in our group. How is this going to work? This is going to be eligible. We have a biostatistics consulting group right now that is an arm of the Department of Biostatistics. It's a consulting arm. We do consulting for an hourly rate. The rates are published on the website. However, if you're a CTSI member, you will be eligible for a voucher for 10 hours of free service, for free consulting, for your project. And you can get 2 of these per year. So you should be able to get sufficient help. Now, and this is just for the faculty hours. We're going to have biostat students on board too. We have other students that are helping us. That doesn't count. It's for our faculty hours that are working with you guys. So how does this work? You go to the BCG website. The link is here. Some of you know it already. And you just submit a request. You submit you're a CTSI member. It'll ask you whether or not you want a voucher. You can say yes. Then you get help. And how does it work? You submit some details, maybe an abstract, maybe a summary of what the issue is. And then I have this great team available to me. And I know some people are busy and some people aren't. Some people have different areas of expertise. So I try to find the individual that area will match as much as possible. That's hourly consulting. That's for your classic, I collected some data, I need some help in analyzing that particular data set. I need help with writing a manuscript, so on and so forth. We also assist people with grants. This is what we're really hanging our hats on in the Department of Biostatistics. This is why I'm here and all of us are here in the Department of Biostat, is to help people write grants. We're available for assistance in the statistical and design aspects in writing grant proposals to fund research. I'm biased here obviously, but some research projects, not all of them, sometimes for some small pilot projects you don't need a lot of formal assistance, but for some grants it's helpful to have significant epi or biostat expertise, in which case naming some member as a co-investigator may be appropriate. I'm listed on a lot of grants as a co-investigator. A lot of others in our group are as well. This is where we help. This service is free for all those who need it, provided you write us into the grant. for a percent effort. And we can talk about guidance on that. I'm not going to go to the details there. And a lot of it's dependent on the kind of grant that you're writing. But if you write us into the grant, we help you in the grant proposal process. That's how it works. And it's modeled very similarly over other CTSA, Biostat, and Epi groups as well. If you don't write us into the grant, we'll still help you. You can still get a voucher for 10 hours, and we'll help you that way as well. Here, please come to us early, at least 4 weeks. I'm cringing because I'm thinking of all the last-minute requests for grant assistance. I have this R01, it's multi-site study, and I need some biostat help, and it's due tomorrow. Please come to us early, because oftentimes we need to do some, power analysis isn't simple. I'm still working to invent my magic wand to give you sample sizes, but I don't have that yet. So until I have that magic wand, we need to go back and forth when we're doing sample size calculations for you. We need information from you. We need to figure out how best to do that. So that's my request to you, is to come to us as early as possible. And again, here, you don't have to figure, okay, I need grant assistance. Where do I go? Go to that same place. Submit a request. There'll be a checkbox for grant assistance, and we'll go from there. The key here is we're going to have a central place for all of you to go. There's no confusion. Just go there, ask for help, and then we'll figure it out. We'll work together, you and I. Any point for anything, you can either email me or you can submit a request, and we'll go from there. And go to that, again, to that website, the BCG website. That's our consulting arm, but it's going to act as our portal for any kind of assistance that you need. Go to a walk-in clinic. Start the discussions there. Or you can email me. Sometimes, certain departments or schools or centers, and I'll talk about some of these that are doing this now and how this came about, they need more focused assistance. Now, you can see that we have a fairly big group, but the total amount of FTE on this grant is not huge for this group. So we have 3 aims to do, so we can't provide unlimited consulting to everybody for everything. So therefore, some departments and centers have elected to say, we have a lot of researchers that need help, and it's in a certain particular area, and we want devoted assistance. This is where the Department of Biostatistics says offering collaborative partnerships, what we're calling collaborative partnerships. And this is for those places that need greater focused statistical needs. They can fund an appropriate percent effort of a faculty, of a staff, a student, because we do have students in biostatistics now, or some combination thereof. And those people will be devoted to you to be able to learn that area of research, so you don't have to constantly have that conversation. Okay, I need to discuss the background. I need to teach this person what that area of research is. This person will become part of that team, part of that department's research enterprise. This is something that I did at UVA. I had a partnership with the Department of Pediatrics. Pediatrics paid for a percent effort. I was the statistician for the Department of Pediatrics. Faculty, residents, fellows, students all came to me for their statistical needs. We were able to get lots of papers published. We were able to get lots of grants funded because they had one person, and as my biosketch grows and it's all consistent with pediatric research, that biosketch gets stronger for subsequent pediatric research. So I think it's a win-win. And these partnerships are flexible depending on the needs of your department or center or institution. You might need grant writing help. You might just need someone to sit in on journal clubs. I sat on in resident journal clubs at UVA in the pediatrics department, which was a lot of fun. Where the residents would pick an article, and they would discuss that article, and I would be that crotchety statistician in the back that'd say this article stinks because the stats was bad. And there would be an educational piece, so I could teach the residents why the design was flawed, or why the analysis was flawed, or why the analysis was great for that particular journal article. So this is something, I mentored a lot of fellows, a lot of K awardees. This is something that might be of interest to certain individuals out there beyond that CTSI global help that we do offer. Existing partnerships, Mary Bab Randolph Cancer Center, through that COBRA, through Sijan Win is one of our team members that's also funded through the Cancer Center as well. That's why they have walk-in clinics, because that's one of the things they decided they wanted to do with their partnership. Injury Control Research Center funds part of my time, so I help the Injury Control Center researchers as well. Michael Righi has a similar partnership with the Department of Pediatrics. This is something that hopefully will grow. We're in discussions with other departments and centers as well. So this is something that you might want to consider as your research enterprise grows for your department or center. One thing I want to talk about is authorship on papers. You come to us, you get assistance. Sometimes that walk-in clinic, it's a simple question, simple answer, fine, we're done. But I want to talk about those cases where we're helping analyze data and we're helping write manuscripts. Authorship on abstracts and manuscripts, it's a policy of our group and as a department that authorship should be based on the level of involvement and completely independent of financial arrangements. We're getting supported by the CTSI, or we might be getting supported by a certain department or whatever, or you might pay us. That's completely independent. If I do a t-test for you, give you a p-value, you throw it into a table, that's not authorship worthy. But if I'm going to write that paragraph and that manuscript for you, the statistical methods, and I do some complicated analysis, or even if I don't do a complicated analysis, I help you interpret the results. And that's a key part. Authorship we expect to have at that point. And that's completely independent of, it's not a trade-off between payment and authorship. It's, we all get paid for our research at some level. So authorship is something separate. And this, I cite a journal article here, and this is pretty consistent with what other biostat consulting groups do across the country in these groups. If you have questions or concerns about that, please talk to me. Additional things we're doing, that's just the start. We hopefully will do more things. Other things that we're thinking about, we're talking with another program, the Biomedical Informatics program, that's part of the CTSI. Great people, they work with data a lot. We're talks with them about maybe partnering with them and somehow developing some kind of formal assistance to help people analyze existing data sets. This could be hospital level data. This could be data at the state level. This could be existing data sets at the national level from the CDC, like NHANES. We have various areas of expertise in these things. So we're talking with them about developing some kind of tool to be able to allow researchers like yourselves the ability to say, hey, I want to look at this and I want to use this particular data set. Can you help me? And we're talking, and that's something that we're considering doing formally. That wasn't part of the grant, so that's not the immediate steps, but this is something that we're really excited about and we think we can grow this as well. That'll help people. That's aim one. That's one of the 3 aims that we're charged with doing as a program. I'll talk briefly about aim 2 and aim 3, but aim 2 next. That's our methods. That's our innovative methods. That's us writing articles in statistical journals, in biostatistical journals, in epidemiology journals. This is us developing new methodology or adapting existing methodology to new areas. This plays a major role in research. It's not just for our own personal benefit. We're able to, new methodology is constantly developed. It allows us to build a reputation as a statistics department, as a biostatistics department, as an epidemiology department amongst those departments, amongst our peers who happen to serve on study sections and might say, hey, there's someone from WVU on this grant. They know what they're doing. They're developing new innovative methods. They're a strong biostat unit, or a strong stat department, or a strong epi department. This is not meant to be just self-serving. This is meant to help you with your collaborative research in multiple levels. Simply describe, I'm not going to bore you with details of what we're doing methods research-wise, but I'm going to give you some examples of what we can do. And we'll do it, I'll talk about it in varying levels of complexity, from very simple to more complex. First level is applying mainstream statistical analysis tools to new areas. Now, we might not be doing a t-test here, but we might be developing some new, using some existing methodology to a new area that really develops that area of collaboration. Often novel applications of these standard techniques lead to research itself. Examples from my career include I helped individuals at UVA. We did a study on cerebral palsy and estimating body fat, and there's these existing equations used to estimate body fat using skin folds. Well, they don't work for children with cerebral palsy with CP. So we adapted those equations. We made corrections on those equations, and we published those. So we have now corrected equations that individuals with CP, clinicians that are treating those individuals, can use. Nothing fancy statistically, but nonetheless, we use statistics to forward the research in cerebral palsy body fat estimation. Another one that just got accepted this week was I had an R21 with a co-PI at UVA. We're looking at the metabolic syndrome in children. Metabolic syndrome is a yes-no thing. Yes, you have it, no, you don't. We thought that wasn't the best way to do it, so we developed a risk score. So nothing new methodologically from a statistical standpoint, but we use some fairly advanced statistical techniques that not the average person can use to develop this new risk score for children with metabolic syndrome, and thus advance that area of research. Second level complexity, adapting or applying new analytical techniques. So something that's more advanced, we're translating it. This is translational research at the statistical or epidemiologic level. We're translating some technique to a new area. Dr. Andrews' research on representing sleep quality from accelerometer data is a good example of this. Dr. Win's research on adaptive designs for clinical trials is another example. Dr. Righi's research on translating recent advances in the area of causal inference to health record recording systems to look at systematic biases. That's another example. Dr. Gurka and I did a study at UVA that was motivated by a genetic study of ApoE in children with cerebral palsy, and we extended the whole idea of internal pilots, which is a clinical trials thing where you're doing an interim power analysis on a study and then you use that existing data carefully. And we translated that to observational research. So that's another example. Nothing necessarily new, but we're translating something to a new area where it hasn't been used before. So this is our translational research at the very most pure level. And then finally, we have to develop some new methods, completely. Effective measurement area and confounders for causal inference. Dr. Righi's doing. Dr. Culp and Stat, what is research in machine learning? He's got some great papers published in preeminent journals of statistics, JAST, Journal of American Statistical Association. Dustin Long's research on methods for assessing the causal effect of a treatment in an application involving mother-to-child transmission of HIV. So these are just examples. This is not the end-all be-all. I'm just throwing out examples of what we're doing beyond collaborating. And as you can see, a lot of this is being motivated by our collaborations. We're not just sitting in our office dreaming up this stuff. We're working with you guys, and then something comes up, and there's a problem. We just say, hey, this needs to be further advanced. So that's biostatistics. And this is just a plug. This is, I think, important. When you're working with us on grants, think about, if you include us, think about somehow tying in some innovative methods. When collaborating with us, allow some free rein on plan analyses. Yeah, we're not going to have to develop new methods for every single grant, but sometimes these complexities will arise that require some additional level of detail. So it's been seen as successful, and I've been successful at the, with the co-PI model now. I've had a couple grants as a co-PI where we're looking at a substantive area like metabolic syndrome, but we're doing some fairly advanced statistical techniques. So it was seen very positively. So, and this is something that, this will go above and beyond standard methods because you don't want to sit around and wait for us to publish that paper in a stat journal. So we'll help you, but we'll be able to extend that research. And everybody wins because we get more papers out of it. That's the name of the game, right? Papers and grants. That's our methods research in a nutshell. If you want to learn more, you want to talk more about that, feel free to talk to me. I'll talk about in a minute another thing where we'll be able to share some of this research with you. Then finally, our third aim, education, teaching biostatistics and epidemiology. Create new opportunities for education. With the new School of Public Health comes new degree programs and new classes. We have new biostatistics classes. We have a lot of new biostatistics classes. So we're offering an MPH in biostatistics for those of you who might be interested. For those of you who might not, you might almost want to take a class on clinical trials. Or, I'll talk about in a minute some of the other courses that we're going to offer that are more applied. We also have a PhD and an MPH in epidemiology with lots of great classes in epi. So these classes are available. These are formal classes. I'll talk about some that are maybe not so, the formal semester-long classes. In development right now is an applied biostatistics certificate that we're going to offer through this program. What does that entail? It's going to be 3 courses in applied biostatistics. They're creatively titled Applied Biostatistics 1, 2, and 3. But these 3 courses will provide a good framework for not necessarily for you to be a biostatistician, but be able to do a lot of the analyses yourself, have good statistical literacy, and be able to go out and do some things on your own and be able to communicate with others. It'll also have a course in epidemiology. This is important. This is framed after this program. So knowing basic study design principles, biases, and all that sort of thing, that's important. In addition, there will be a sprinkling of SAS in there, so you will learn SAS. And the benefit to this in terms of students, or students loosely speaking, this could be faculty, this could be residents, could be fellows, these will be available live and online, these courses. So you're working all day, you could be able to watch a lecture in the evening. And we're already offering 2 of the courses already online, live and online. And we're working out the kinks right now, so by the time the certificate is formally out there, it'll be nice and perfect. As perfect as it can get. So that's something that we're talking about. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to have a Biostat and Epi grand rounds. These are monthly talks scheduled starting in November, centered on topics in Biostat and Epi. The initial focus for now is going to be on a summary of a particular method or analytical technique or a general problem in Biostat and Epi. This is where we're going to hopefully be able to educate individuals on certain things. Like we might want to do a talk on group randomized trials, or clinical trials in general, or structural equation modeling, something that people have an interest in just learning some basics of. This is an educational endeavor to be able to share some of that knowledge that we have and help you guys as you're pursuing your research. As we move forward, we might sprinkle in some research talks of our own where we explain in an accessible manner what some of the stuff we're doing with respect to AIM-2 as that evolves. So that's a good way to communicate to all of you what we're doing. The day and the time are to be determined. This is where I want your feedback. Let me finish up, but as question and answer session, if you have ideas for when this should be held, we're flexible. We really don't know when this should be offered and where everybody wants to see if this is of interest to anybody. And certainly shoot me an email and we'll talk later if you want to have ideas for when this should be determined or when it should be held. Our inaugural one, though, however, is going to be next November. I'm really excited about this one. We're excited as a group. This is George Howard, who's the former chair of the Department of Biostatistics at UAB. A grant writing machine. He's PI of a lot of grants, multi-center grants, large cohort trials. He's not only a biostatistician, but you can consider him an accomplished epidemiologist as well. He's a great speaker, and he's going to come to us in November to talk about racial and geographic disparities in stroke mortality, which is very appropriate for the CTSI and where we're going with things. So that's November 13th at 1 o'clock on the Health Sciences Center North in room 1107. And you'll probably have seen flyers, and we'll certainly circulate that, but I wanted to share that information with you. And that's kind of what we're hoping as a model for these talks moving forward. This is just the starting one. And then you'll see announcements for other ones. That's it for now for education, but we're thinking about other things. Short courses. Some of you might, I don't want to sit there for a whole semester and learn biostat. I want to have a quick 2-day short course, or a 4-day short course, or a 2-week thing. We're open. We've thought of some things, we've seen other institutions that have 2-week intensive courses where they cram the whole semester's worth into 2 weeks. That might work for some of you. If you're interested in that, let me know. That's something we can explore. You might want to have a workshop. Maybe you want to learn some basics of R. We can do that. This is the open-ended piece. This is where we can be flexible and creative. So if you have any ideas or things you want to learn more about, just email me, and we'll certainly try to fit that in. So just to conclude, to wrap up, we're a growing dynamic group with a growing dynamic mission. What I've listed to you is not the end-all, be-all. This isn't the final say. As things evolve, if things don't work, we'll scrap it. We'll start new things. We have we have 5 years to work out the kinks and get this thing going. So your feedback is essential, not just now, but in the future. Please email me. Please call me. Please see me. We're certainly willing to adapt. What we're excited about, though, is that we have this structured and comprehensive support now, biostat and epi-wise, here at WVU and across the state. And I'm thankful that the CTSI came about to allow us the ability to build this support infrastructure. What we are proposing is not necessarily that creative. A lot of what we're doing is very similar to what other CTSAs are doing. All the CTSAs have a biostat and epi group. So that's what we're trying to model ourselves after. These are just initial objectives. We will figure out what WVU needs. We'll have specific needs here. We'll adapt. So please provide feedback early and often, starting now. So thank you very much for your time.